ivory. I can't bowl in it, it's too thick. .38C.
38B.
All right, bowlers, make sure your lanes are back to the first ball cycle. Once you hit your check mark, your lane will be ready for tournament play. Good luck and good bowling.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bowl Stream TV. Excuse me. It is Cashers Round time. Everyone here has made a few dollars already, which is a good thing. But someone's going to make 10K. We will find who that, or find out who that person will be this afternoon. But first, we need to determine the top 8 players who will have a chance at 10K, and 6 games will do that here this morning. Emil Williams Jr. here with you. We'll be joined at some point today by Jason Uchwald, tournament director here at the Bradley Open. Cecil will stop on by again as well. Cecil Scarborough, if you had a chance to check out the advancers round last night, Cecil was with me for the majority of the evening. All right, in front of us, Brian Valenta. Jesper Svensson, Derek Patterson, and Zeke Bate on 37 and 38. Tom Doherty, Nick Pate, Michael Martell, and Mitch Beasley. AJ Rice, Paul Smith, Zach Sanders, and Brian Robinson on 33 and 34, of course, which we have had a camera throughout and take a look when we can. So the same amount of, maybe not the same amount of surface, maybe the same type of surface, grit-wise, certainly being put on some bowling balls. I don't think I've seen as many, though, as many bowling balls with that on. In fact, I don't think what Tom Doherty's throwing may have any surface on it, or at least a light coat based on what it looks like from here. How about Tom Doherty last night? Tom started last night 195, 148, 168. He finished at 203, 228, 219 to get back into the number. AJ Rice is your leader at plus 91 after 6 games last night. Again, 6 additional this morning. Those 12-game totals will determine the top 8. Mike Rubin is third. At plus 65. Matt Zweig, fourth at plus 61. David Stouffer is fifth at plus 47. Chad Roberts is sixth at plus 40. Sean Rash is seventh at plus 38. Right now, eighth is Kim Bolaby at plus 35. Excuse me. All right, tough start here for Brian Valenta. He had a tough start yesterday, in fact, during the his B squad qualifying. Started with 146. Last night pretty consistent though. 184, 190, 191, 205, 192, 193. Speaking of Valenta, Jesper right now is 9th at plus 29. A couple of big games sandwiched by 3 180 games and a 190. 230 and 256 also to his credit, speaking of Jesper. Zeke Bate was the number at minus 54. Dan Higgins and Kyle Troop. Just missing the top 40 at minus 58. Kevin Williams at minus 61 and 43rd. Daniel Farish at minus 63, 44th. Really good players, just missing the number. Sean Maldonado, Joe Grondin, Steve Taylor, Jonathan Cummins, Mike Kickmall, Kevin Anderson, and Ben Sobel actually round out the top 50. Early prize fund questions. Always fair, I think. A double bounce from Brian Valenta on the gutter. That's familiar. It's a familiar sound for me. He's already made a jump from left to right. But I think watching yesterday, players haven't really been afraid. We talked about that with Cecil last night about making these quick moves, or I won't call them sudden moves. You move when you feel like you need to, or ball change, or whatever it may be. Michael Martell's been kind of loft in the left gutter. Did it a lot yesterday, a little bit during qualifying I saw. Wow. Well, it's going to be a good day for Michael Martell. All right, so as we know, 10,000 to the winner. If you didn't know that, 10,000 to the winner, 5K for second. Each semifinalist will receive 2,500. 1,250 to each quarterfinalist. 1,100 for ninth. Grand for 10th. 11th through 15th will receive 850. 16th through 20th will receive 800. 21st through 25th will receive 750. 26th through 30th will receive 700. 31st through 35th will receive 650. 36th through 40th will receive $600. Also, as advertised, loaded cash, 600. I like Tom's look here. I didn't get a chance to see him the last 3 games last night. But I remember Cecil saying that he had about 50 or so in the 5th. And Cecil was being told that, and Tom Doherty somehow made that into a 168. I think that might have been the turning point there. He went on to shoot 203, 228, 219. Mitch Beasley out here getting it done early. Good morning to all. If you haven't already, please like, share. Hope your morning is off to a great start. All right, 6-pin there for Michael Martell. Last night, man, there were balls from there that just weren't hooking for some of our lefties. Mike had the big churn going on the pads this morning. I see some good stuff and some chats and some well wishes for Jesper, Mikey. Who y'all rooting for today? For standings, the top 40 standings were posted on the Bradley Open Bowling Tournament Facebook page. That's the name of the page. You may need to scroll, but they were there. In fact, I saw them last night and shared them. No pattern information, so there is no graph. Let's know that there's a lot of oil, pretty lengthy, pretty difficult. But what you watch right now, you know, these are 40 of the best of the tournament at this point. So the scores are going to be much higher than what we've seen in the last, or I should say, just about at any point all day yesterday. 5 games of qualifying A squad yesterday morning, 5 games of qualifying B squad yesterday afternoon, then a 2-game Desperado re-entry squad. It took 50 bowlers from A squad, 50 bowlers from B squad, 8 bowlers from the Desperado squad. Those 108 bowlers bowled the advancers round last night, bowled 6 games. The top 40 advanced to this morning's cashers round. To refresh your memory, again, A.J. Rice, Michael Martell, Mike Rubin, Matt Zweig, David Stilfer, Chad Roberts, Sean Rash, Kim Bowleby. That's the top 8 right now. Jesper Svensson, Dwight Adams, Jacob Buttriff, Jerry Mars, Austin Kohler, Kurt Pelon, Paul Smith, Brian Halen. That's 9 through 16. Derek Patterson, Brian Hatcher, Trevor Roberts, Dom Barrett, Gene Perez, Mitch Beasley, Brian Robinson, Thomas Larson. That is 17 through 24. Jeremy Thomas, Ryan Liederbach, Zach Sanders, Graham Faw, Nick Pate, Chris Colella. That was past Nick Pate. That was 32nd. That was 25 through 32. Then Chris Colella, Zach Tackett, J.R. Raymond, Tom Doherty, Brian Valenta, Scott Camp, Brandon Flora, Zeke Bate. That is 33 through 40. Good morning to those of you, again, continuing to tune in. Hit the thumbs up on your way in. Say hello. Nick Pate is going double. 8-out split, 8-out split, now a 3-bagger. Nick has had a really good look for, I think, the majority, honestly, of the event. Certainly carry is always troublesome here. But every time I've seen him, he's been in the 1-3 a lot. Kim Bowleby trying to make the top 8 for the 3rd consecutive year, including, again, a win in 2020, and the runner-up finish last year in 2021. Nick has turned 3 into 4. Tom Doherty. First sign of real trouble there for Tom. Some struggles here on 35 and 36 from this particular group. Looking around, we're going from 25 through 44. But it looks like 37 and 38 as a collective might have the best look so far as a group. Hello, Yvonne. I see you. Sandra watching from Sweden. David, Houston represented. It does look like similar to last night. The gutter seems to be the preferred choice of lane play, at least to start on the fresh. That's a nice break. Break for Derek Patterson. He'll take that. VV working hard. Trying to salvage this game. Oh, we got Alaska. Oh, we got Connecticut and Wisconsin. Ramon, of course. I see the Nashville. It looks like, let's see. Rash has got 240 in his sights. Over on 39 and 40. Sean Rash, that is. Big double there for Jesper. Nick Pate looking for 5 in a row. Oh, and some love on the 10-pin this morning. An executive strike and spare from Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, what else we got here? More Connecticut, Oregon, Alberta. Shout out to Canada, Texas, Long Island, North Carolina. My man Jeff. Ontario. Ian is back from Nottingham, the UK. Appreciate you waking up or staying up, depending on where your time zone situation may be. .250 in the sights for Michael Martell. Hey, John, A.J. Rice is not only in the field, he is leading currently at plus 91. Good morning, Shell. Durham, North Carolina. Hey, George. Anthony from Missouri. Snowing in Maryland. Well, that's normal. Matthew from right here in Louisville. Michael is watching from Santo Domingo. Got a very good honeymoon story involving Santo Domingo. North Canton, Ohio. Raleigh, LA. Welcome to New York City. Okay, let's see PBA time. Good shot there for Doherty. Pate's going to be in the 220s. Last night we saw Zach Tackett shoot 236 in game 3. He went from 40th to 10th. I don't know if we'll see that kind of movement this morning, but man. .221 for Nick Pate. Man, that was a pretty well-bowled game overall for Tom Doherty. And I feel like he can only get to 202. Not what Michael Martell was hoping for. Boy, 10th frame opens in this event on this condition. You got a real chance to potentially take the lead. Not sure what Mike Rubin was doing. But at this point, you're trying to get in the top 8. And then it's still anybody's ball game at that point. A lone open for Martell comes in the 10th frame. Big spare there for Valenta. 223 for Martell. .201 from Tom Doherty. And again, this could be the highest scoring cross so far. Actually, it might be the second highest because 39 and 40 over there putting in work. Graham Foss shot 226. Sean Rash is about to enter your screen. Or at least you saw his bowling ball go down the lane. And a 5-7 for Rash, first shot in the 10th frame. Jeremy Thomas got to 229. It's good talking to him. Met him Friday. Runs some events here, not only at Executive, but locally here in Louisville. Brandon Flora also on that pair. And he's going to be in the 240s. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're going to 37-38 or 39-40, that might be an opportunity to get some pins. open for Rash, puts him at 215 for game 1 here tonight, or this morning. And Mitch Beasley puts the exclamation point on 37 and 38. Jesper. Not a game below 201 between the 8 players on 37, 38, 39, and 40. Safe to say, if you're, again, on that one of those pairs, you're in good hands. Outside of that, some decent scores. A couple of 220s around. See some 2-0s. Don Barrett's going to be in the 230s. And Jesper gets to 202. All right, that'll do it for game 2, or 1, excuse me. By the way, what's up, Gabe? Jonathan watching from Greensboro. Got a lot of good people watching from Connecticut. Shout out to Connecticut. Game 2 coming up next. Let me tell you, we'll have Jacob Buttroff, David Stouffer, Zach Tackett, and Chris Colella on 35 and 36. Charlie, speaking of Brian, he is going to be on 37 and 38, along with Don Barrett, Brandon Novak, and Thomas Larson. How you doing? Good, man. Good to see your name in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. They just flipped the monitors and screens on 33 and 34 CG, so I couldn't get a chance to see what B-Rob shot. Boy, and both Halen and Novak start with trouble in frame 1 of game 2. This is my first experience being at the event on site, but it already has the feel, this round in particular, that it's going to go by pretty quickly. I want to thank the good staff here at the Bradley. Of course, Jason Utchwall, Justin, Gary, the Utchwall family, Doug. I want to thank our tournament title sponsors, QubicaAMF, Motiv, Classic Products, Creating the Difference, High Five Gear, 7 Leaf. Without those contributions, certainly the event would not be possible. And the good people here at Executive Strike and Spare in Louisville, Kentucky. This is game 2 of 6, Cashers round. It is essentially the continuation of the advancers round from last night, but there was a cut from 108 to 40 in terms of the number of bowlers. everyone here at this point is going to cash. It's just about the amount and where they're going to finish up. 6 more games today to determine the top 8 to advance to the bracket match play finals here this afternoon. As far as standing sheets go, the staff has been great about providing those for me in hand, in person, for me to relay the information to you. They have also been posting their tournament standings again on their Facebook page. So as soon as we have our first update, I will relay that to you and let you know where folks stand. And as I've been doing all week or weekend, if there is someone, oh, good carry there for Brandon. If there is someone who you are looking for and want to know, and I don't read off because at this point we'll be looking at the top 8 and certainly, 9 through 12. But if someone's specific, I'll be sure to help you out. Jacob Buttroff had an interesting evening. Last night, he was near the top of the standings. In fact, let's see if I still have it. He was second after 4 games last night. He was third after 3 games last night. 4th after 2 games last night. And 28th when the round started yesterday. So in a couple games, he went from 28th to 2nd. And then the final 2 games for Buttroff, he went 171, 147. To fall back to 11th. And at that point, of course, 15 out of the number. Buttroff always pretty honest and open, especially on social. You should follow him on social media. He's pretty funny. He'll get serious on you too. Good mix. Oh, that ball read the lane nicely for Colella. A couple of 3-baggers to start here on 35 and 36. Bit of a contrast to how game 1 started for our previous group. just like that. Thanks to my man Justin, who I was in the office with this morning when he and Jason were calculating how many years they have both been involved with the tournament. This is Jason's 10th year, and we believe that this is Justin's 9th year involved with the Bradley Open. 4 in a row now for Buttroff. All right, let me read those off. Again, if you have a particular or specific question about a bowler, just let me know. Drop it in the chat, and I'll tell you where they are in the standings. Zach Tackett. Oh, that ball came peeling back. Wow. All right, A.J. Rice is your leader at plus 114. Shot 223 in Game 7. Again, the pins from last night do carry over. Important to note if you've been following the tournament or if this is your first time experiencing it, the qualifying scores dropped prior to the beginning of the advanced round last night. So they take the 6 games from last night, 6 games from this morning, and that determines our top 8. Saw the Greek Church there for Buttroff. He'll take the count. David Stouffer has moved into second at plus 92. Michael Martell now third at plus 91. Mike Rubin fourth at plus 90. Chad Roberts is fifth at plus 87. Jacob Buttroff is sixth at plus 67. Sean Rash is seventh at plus 53. And right now, Gene Perez has moved into the top 8 at plus 39. Kim Bolaby shot 200, so did not lose any pins. He drops 1 spot to 9th at plus 35. Matt Zweig is 10th. At plus 34. Jerry Mars is 11th at plus 32. Jesper Svensson is 12th at plus 31. Dom Barrett, 12th. I'm sorry. Dom Barrett, 13th, I beg your pardon, at plus 26. Man, this thing could go, especially after 1 game, but we can go all the way to definitely 19th at this point. Kurt Pilon is plus 1. So again, if you got any questions, about a particular player, let me know. Zach and EJ are brothers. Yes. No love for Jacob Butcher there. Here's Brian Halen. I mentioned some of Brian's success during the double shootout, but he made match play at the U.S. Open. J.R. Raymond is bowling today. Yes, he is. And right now, J.R. Raymond is 28th. Right now at minus 20. Nick Pate, after the 221 game, Nick is now 23rd at minus 10. That's minus 10 overall. Again, the number right now is plus 39. So Pate now just 49 pins back. That is just interesting how Zach Tackett is just literally wheeling the gutter. Now, I don't know how things rolled or worked for him in the first game. According to the score, they didn't obviously go well. Shot a .120, but I have to believe he didn't have the same look on whatever pair he began on, actually, which was 29 and 30. All right, got a few good seconds as we welcome back into the Bowlstream TV booth Vice's own Cecil Scarborough. Cecil.
How are you, sir? Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm all right, man. I'm that extra 30 minutes did wonders for you, boy. I'm feeling great. I tell you, an additional 30 minutes is a live streamer's dream.
Yes, sir.
And yours, for that matter, too. Anyone who works at a bowling event, obviously including those who are competing, those who might be spectating. But if you happen to be working all day, 30 minutes is a gift. It's like a vacation almost. All right, Cecil, you had a chance, I'm sure, to kind of peruse game one. Thinking back to what we were talking about last night when you saw a lot of players migrate to the gutter. Thought I saw a lot of players still in that area. What did you see?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I've actually been in the pro shop.
Oh, well,
with
there
the
we
pro
go.
shop guys, but
well, you still got a job to do.
Yeah, but I actually have seen some of the guys. I think more of them are out this morning, but then some of the guys are still in with more surface that had success last night. And basically, what I'm seeing is what worked for them yesterday. They are not getting away from it today.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean, it got me here, so I'm going to keep going until it doesn't get me there.
Zach Tackett is trying to make up pins immediately. I will try to find out what ball Zach is using. J.R. Raymond, by the way, just to our left on 33 and 34, is working on a 4-bagger.
And the cloud.
Never fails. Someone asks about a player, they're nearby. All right, Zach Tackett said he is using a Jackal Legacy. Appreciate you, Bowl 300. Might get to 5K this weekend. And so might Zach Tackett, for that matter, based on the look he's found. Again, not knowing what happened in game 1. But he is not only trying to go plus 100 from his game 1 score, but he's going to try to add more to it, like a $150. He shot 126 in game 1. David Stouffer, by the way, someone asked, he is second after the first game today.
Now, this is one thing that I have noticed today. I was watching Gene Perez down earlier when he was practicing. He's left-handed. Dave Stouffer just did the exact same thing. If they got it right early, the ball would pick up and get through the pins. If they missed in, it would still hit the pocket, but it would not go through the pins the right way. So it's doing the exact same thing on both, on the right and the left side. If they get it far, and they're playing out, and they get it right early enough, it'll pick up and go through the pins. But if they happen to tug it in, it'll still get there, but it just doesn't want to go through the pins the right way, and it just doesn't want to carry. I mean, Gene left a blower 7-pin and a ring 10, and then David's ball actually never got to the pocket and leaves a 2-8. But if he's a half-inch right of that, it picks up and takes and goes.
Let's take a quick look at Stu Williams over on 33 and 34. Stu right now 24th. Good shot there for Stu. Also on that pair, Mike Rubin, as I mentioned, J.R. Raymond, and Austin Kohler, who we saw last night, put up some numbers in the last couple of games.
Yeah, Austin made a nice run last night. He was just to the right of us last night and shot, I think, 250 the last game. So, yeah, it was impressive to watch.
Again, Stouffer at plus 92, the leader, A.J. Rice at plus 114. Mike Rubin has been pretty impressive as well. Let's see if we can get Brandon Novak's going to go first. There you see Mike Rubin on your left. Again, the Tackett. Watch his ball just peel. Well, not that time, of course. But I think that's what you're referring to.
Exactly. He did not get it right quick enough, and the ball never read it, and it started to make the move, but it was too late. If he gets that ball right another 3 feet quicker, that ball strikes.
It's interesting how this is something we always discuss really at any bowling event, but we talk about it a lot on tour. Big shot there for Buttriff. Because, you know, the more times the pattern is laid out, right, it starts to play a little truer. Players are smart, right, and so they start to make all these adjustments, and by the time you get towards the end of these rounds of the tournament, you know, scores typically could get to be a little higher. Big spare pickup, big split conversion by Ruben, by the way. And it looks like right now, either by, you know, of course, smarts, experience of bowling on this thing now a couple times, but you could throw it right or left. But the caveat, as you said, got to be pretty early or early enough. And there's some friction.
I see Butters, instead of trying to belly it, he's playing it really, really tight through the front part of the lane. So he's getting on top of it a little bit more than what Gene is. Gene's kind of getting and kind of looping it through the fronts.
Perez did strike first shot in the 10th frame, and he is going to be at minimum in the 240s.
He shot, I think, 250 the first game.
Yeah, 248.
248. So he missed on the second ball in the 10th. Then he got to the same where he could strike out in the 10th and shoot 250.
Novak was trying to make it 4 in a row. Michael Rubin back-to-back splits. He'll have to convert another. Buttriff, LaFille tried something different. Looks similar. Nice game for Jacob Buttriff. There's J.R. Raymond. 10-pin made. Gene Perez strikes again. He's going to be in the 250s.
He has made a run the last half of yesterday during the night block and this morning. See, he started that ball right instead of letting it float right, and the ball checked up a little bit early and went high.
185. For Brian Halen. In 239. For Jacob Buttriff.
And with that spare, Zach's going to eclipse the century increase in score.
.255 officially for Gene Perez, by the way. So 248, 255 for Perez the first 2 games here this morning.
That'll get it done.
He came into the day in 21st. Talked about massive jumps with one big game. And game 1, it was Gene Perez going from 21st to 8th.
And now I'm sure he'll be in the top 4 or 5 maybe.
Let's see. I don't see. There's AJ Rice. .228 for Zach Tackett. Dom's gonna be in the 2-0s. Thomas Larson a strike away from getting into the 220s. David Stoffer's going to be in the 230s. Trying to chase down AJ Rice at the moment, but first game for J.R. Raymond was 216. .236 officially for Stouffer. Don Barrett, as I mentioned, 206. Ryan Halen got to 185. Well, I can say that based on the group that was on 37 and 38 to start game one. Didn't produce high scores here for this group in game two.
You know, watching Stouffer on his final ball, you know a player has thrown it well when halfway down the lane they turn around and start to walk off.
Yeah, he did do that.
He's like, yep, that's good.
We'll see the final shots from Stu Williams, who is going to be in the 240s. Strike will get him to 247.
And voila.
All right, 247 for Stu Williams.
And he just comes back, just ho-hum, okay.
And just like that, game two is officially in the books here. So this next score update should be very interesting. Let's see what Gene Perez or where he is now in the standings. I'll probably do a little bit of some quick math here.
Stu Williams just came by. I just wanted to verify what ball he was throwing on the lane. He was throwing the proton physics, and then he told me he was throwing the reality on the left lane and the proton on the right lane.
Okay. That's interesting. You always wonders that pair to pair. A.J. Rice, again, who was the leader. I believe he shot 212.
He did.
On 39 and 40. So that would get him to plus 126. And David Stouffer is at plus 128 by my calculations. Well, Stouffer would move into the lead at the moment.
And where did Gene Perez go?
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
It is important to note, unless something has changed, the players who do advance, the top 8 who do advance, are seeded based on their 12-game totals. But it is a different format. When we get to the bracket match play, it is best 2 out of 3. And so if you happen to lead or whatever the case may be, you get higher choice, lane choice, who starts, etc.
Right.
But it won't affect, obviously it's going to affect your opponent, certainly. That's going to play a role, but it's not a total pin situation.
Once you go to match play, it's just like the USBC Masters. It's game on.
Important note for those who may be unfamiliar with the Bradley. We don't have any bowling right now, Cease. It's weird.
Everybody's kind of moving.
Yes, it's odd.
It got really quiet.
So what I'm going to do, since we don't have bowling on our featured pairs, let's watch Gene Perez for a little bit. And Kim Bold.
And there it is.
we'll have some opportunity to, I will at least, if you had a question about something. Let me go back to the chat just in case. Let's see, it's game 3. You see Stu. Early 10 pin. There are a couple of pairs that we are waiting on. Those pairs are Matt Zweig, Scott Camp, Jerry Mars, and Ryan Liederbach, Trevor Roberts, Tyler Slaubaugh, Dwight Adams, and Kurt Pelon. Nice opening shot from Chad Roberts.
Just watch Ruben flag a signal pin. There's not enough strikes here to start flagging single pins. There's just nice shot there by J.R. Raymond. And a perfect example right there with Gene. He did not get the ball to the left quick enough, and the ball never got to the pocket.
Ryan Liederbach is going to join us next, but he looks to have the string right now, just like he did last night.
Yeah, he bowled 2 really, really solid games last night to actually get into the cut. Like we were discussing last night, two-hander that uses his thumb.
In your experience watching two-handed bowling, working with two-handers, what typically, if there is similarities and differences, I know there are, but it varies obviously bowler to bowler, but what might be a difference or that you've seen for those who use their thumb, for those who don't?
I really haven't seen much of a difference because Matt Russo uses his thumb. Now, Sean Maldonado used to use his thumb, and now he's went without it, and he said that he actually likes the fact that he's a little more versatile with his hand. Tim Foy did the same thing. He used to use his thumb. Now he doesn't. Tim feels that when he needs to generate extra rev rate, he actually has a little easier ability to do that without his thumb in it.
Interesting. It's all about versatility.
But one thing that Tim Foy did say was when he did switch and remove his thumb from the ball, he had to really focus on where his hand was under the ball because he would start to have the ball wobble in his hand. So he had to get used to that feel because his thumb could then hold on to it so it didn't move. And now he had to pay attention to where his hand was at with the ball. Sean Rash, Big 4, Brooklyn.
All right, Matt Zweig, Ryan Liederbach, Scott Camp, Jerry Mars. Dwight Adams, Kurt Pilon, Tyler Slaubaugh. And Trevor Roberts on 37 and 38.
Scott Camp just kind of tickles him over on that shot. Single pin conversion there for Liederbach. Jerry Mars with a ball change there. Nice ball change.
All right, we got game 8 scores. Wow. What I've learned is when you think, by the way, Steve, I'll tell Jason to do that. I don't know what that means, but thanks. If you're referring to Sean Rash, that is Sean Rash. Sean Rash is bowling. And he's currently 11th after 8 games. Your new leader is Chad Roberts. He went 247, 257.
Very nice.
He's at plus 144. David Stilfer, 245, 236. He's at plus 128. A.J. Rice, third, at plus 126. Jacob Buttroff is fourth at plus 106. Mike Rubin is fifth at plus 102. Gene Perez goes from 8th to 6th at plus 94. Michael Martell is 7th at plus 85. Kim Bolaby back into 8th place at plus 80. Ryan Liederbach moves to 9th at plus 68. He is 12 pins back. Austin Kohler is 10th. He is 14 pins back.
Solid 8-pin there for Kurt Pilon.
My apologies, Austin Kohler 17 pins back. I was writing on the wrong line. And Sean Rash right now at plus 61. He is 19 pins back. Matt Zweig, who has joined us here this game, is 39 pins back. Of the number, Stu Williams, 42 pins back.
Scott Camp with a double there. Oof. I know that split looks really, really bad for Zweig, but it's actually very makeable.
I feel like Jerry's been in the middle of the lane for most of the time I've seen him. I haven't obviously seen him every game, but
Yeah, he's been pretty much on top of the head pin, just throwing it right down the middle. He hasn't really tried to shape the ball much at all. He's just kept it in play.
CG Brian Robinson is minus 20. Minus 20 overall at the moment in 29th place. He's got some work to do. If he is to get there right now, he's 100 pins out.
Now after seeing the first two games, kind of what we saw last night, now we'll see if the trend continues and you watch the score start to plummet when the transition starts to happen.
Yeah, this is, I think we're in game 3, right? This is when it got weird.
Yep. Yeah. Games 3 and 4 is when it got really interesting. The guys that had it lost it, and the guys that didn't have it found it.
J.R. Raymond is in a tie for 19th currently at +3. He is 77 pins back of 8th at the moment. It's Raymond, Jeremy Thomas, and Kurt Pelon right now, all +3.
Nice shot there by Jerry Mars, 5-pin going over and sawing out the 7.
Good to see Jerry back in bowling.
And I think Zweig has hit that spot on this pair that in that track area, if you get it there, it just lays there. It doesn't ever. So he's either going to have to make a jump left or he's going to have to make a big jump right, because where he's at, the ball is just not reading the right part of the lane.
Leader by clean through 3. Take that single pin lead there. Dwight Adams is 26th. Adams right now 26th at -9 overall. He is 89 pins back.
Nice cover there from Zweig, 210. Split conversion.
What's his move, if any, you think, Cecil?
I think he moved right, personally. I would. I would leave the ball I have in my hand. Has enough surface on it. And I would just take it and just get it right. And use that little bit of friction to my advantage, especially with him being two-handed. He generate enough rev rate.
it's a situation here where when we're basing this on what we saw last night, but obviously some differences. A lot of pairs last night had 5 bowlers.
Correct.
So even just with a little bit of less traffic, certainly makes a difference. But I feel like whoever can manage games 3 and 4 the best might.
That may be the difference right there. See, like Camp pulled that in a little bit, and it never got to that friction spot. Kurt Pilon did the same thing. He didn't quite get it to the right quick enough, and the ball just labored getting up the pocket, get to the pocket. Still hit the pocket, but just wouldn't go through it the right way to carry.
Someone asked earlier, would we be done by the time the Super Bowl happens? If we should be, but I'd be shocked if we weren't.
Well, with it being on the West Coast, I think we would, because what time's the game
Actually,
start?
to be honest, I don't even know what time the game starts.
Oh, let's see if we can find that out. Maybe somebody in the chat's already ahead of us.
Probably a prop bet somewhere. It's usually like a 5:07 Eastern time. But you're right, since the game is on the West Coast.
It says 6:30 p.m., but it doesn't give us a time. I know it's, so many times people say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but we need to know what the 6:30 is where. Let's see.
6:30 Eastern. 5:30 Central. Yeah, we'll be done.
Then I guess I'm staying here to watch the Super Bowl, because if I'm driving that 2 hours, I'm going to miss it.
I'm actually looking forward to driving so I can actually listen to it on the radio.
Okay. I do that quite often with using my satellite radio. I'll listen to baseball games, and if I've got a long drive, I'll start on the East Coast games. Then I go to the center of the country games, and then I'll catch towards the end. I'll catch the West Coast games, and I can pretty much listen to baseball just about all day.
Yeah, I don't have satellite Cecil, so I need a few more gigs before I can get a little satellite in the car. My wife and I talk about each other all the time. Like, she's got a remote starter and I don't. Like, yeah, I've still got that little older model.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. Well, but see, my satellite is in my personal car, but because of the package, I have satellite on my phone. So what I do is I turn it on my phone, and then I put the Bluetooth in the rental cars that I've got, because I won't pay for the satellite in the rental cars, because I have it on my phone.
Right. No, that was funny.
Yeah.
And part of that for me is just being a broadcaster and developing skills in a radio environment. So I'm like, I haven't listened to a football radio broadcast in a while, because I was thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna miss the game. And I was like, you won't.
To me, the fun part about listening to it on the radio is you get to use your imagination of what's happening on the field, whether it's on the football or baseball, when
Absolutely.
a line drive to left center field, or a long pass caught, or he breaks through a hole. You can imagine, and you get to use your imagination a little bit and create the game in your head, and sometimes that's a lot of fun.
Radio is not the sole reason, but one of the top reasons why I wanted to become a broadcaster.
And I remember we were at a baseball game one day. We were watching a baseball game on the field, and I had a baseball game playing on my phone. And so we were sitting there, and I'm like, okay, you do the voice for the radio, for the phone.
You're right.
And we took the phone and held it, and you actually did all the play-by-play right on the phone with just us sitting there. And I know people thought we had to be crazy, but
well, I've learned you never know who's listening, Cecil.
But it was so much fun to sit there and listen to you go through that, and I mean, it was.
There's always there's always an opportunity to be seen or heard, and you never know who is listening or watching, and how that may turn into something good or something bad, because you got to watch what you say also.
Oof. Yeah.
Trouble there for Dwight Adams. By the way, CG, I will have it DVR'd, so I'm going to go at some point this week and watch the full game, but I'm definitely not missing that. In fact, yeah, I got to watch the halftime show. Definitely. 100%. This game is starting to, I was going to say speed up, but then I remembered that we were waiting for these two pairs to populate here in game number 4 or 3. So an open frame there for Liederbach.
Now, Zweig made a ball change the last time, and it went high. Let's see if he.
High flush there on the left for Sean Rash. Here is Matt Zweig.
Went to a little, I think, a little cleaner ball, but more surface. Looks like he went from an altered reality to a idle Helios. Went from a symmetrical ball to or an asymmetrical ball to a symmetrical ball.
What are the subtle differences? And they may not be subtle in that particular situation, but for the viewers watching who, you know, maybe thinking about ball changes or, you know, their next event, tournament, league, whatever it is, and in this particular situation, what do you think worked better with that one?
One, I think it's got a little more surface on it, and it's a fresher surface. So with the symmetrical ball, they're usually a little bit cleaner. But he definitely, with some more surface, he got the ball to pick up in the right part of the lane and continue. Got that in and it laid there. Very nice. Looking over on 39 and 40, Gene Perez is not enjoying that pair.
Oh, boy, I guess that game 3 has popped up. If you look one pair to the right, they seem to be decently enjoying it. J.R. Raymond's got a chance to get in the 230s. He'll need a double in the 10th, though. I think he got the first one.
He did get the first one. And a very nice cover from Scott Camp there.
This pair right now kind of giving game 1 vibes where there were some struggles on 35 and 36.
Haven't quite seen those trap spots yet show up.
Jason Utwall will join us in game 4. So if you watched us last night, And thanks, Jeff, for that, dropping that in the chat. Scores are updated through 8 games on the Bradley Open Facebook page. If you like to check those out yourself, you can. If you want me to read it or read someone, particular player, I can do that for you as well. So last night, Cecil and I were watching Dwight, and Cecil had noticed something, and we were attempting to go to a video that didn't work. Good washout there for Scott on the pickup. And so our goal was to try to do that again. Now, I mentioned earlier, or yesterday, that I would anticipate this being very loud on your speakers. So please keep that in mind when this video does play. So what we're going to see, I'm going to do it after leader box shot here, since we've got a few frames. So prepare your speakers. I would even turn it down. Shot there for Leaderbach, big double. Again, Leaderbach is 9th after 3 today, 8 total games, and just 12 pins out of the number at the moment.
So Gene Perez loses 16 on that one. Let's see him. Let's see what is where he goes from there. Now I'm curious to see how much movement's going to be with the scores, and see if what we looked at yesterday with games 3 and 4. See if that those with the scores getting a little bit lower, you don't see as much movement right away. Speaking of, here's Dwight up on lanes 37.
All right, so what did you talk about yesterday?
So right at the bottom of his swing, when his hand starts to transfer the weight of the ball from the thumb to the fingers, you can actually watch his elbow almost bend the wrong way. And it's like that motion is what helps him get the ball off of his thumb. Nice triple there by Zweig. And by doing that, that helps him create that rev rate that he creates.
All right, nice shot there for Trevor. We'll watch the attempt at a conversion here, and then finally see if our video will play. Again, you may need to lower your volume.
The nice thing is this morning when I shot that video, it was just them practicing, so we will.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't even change that video. Well, we're going with the one that was from yesterday,
Okay,
just because
that works.
it's already there. And finally, Scott Kemp. Now on to Dwight Adams for some Cecil Scarborough breakdown. All right, let's see if this thing works here.
So right here, you'll see right at the bottom of the swing and right there. See where the elbow, it almost unhinges. And then you can watch there as the hand rotate through the ball. And just as his fingers start to lift through the ball, he almost gets into a point that he backs the ball up. And by doing that, that's what creates that extra rev rate. Right here again, right there, you'll see that hand starting to rotate around the ball, and that elbow now is actually starting to bend the way it shouldn't bend. And now his hand comes up and backwards through the ball, and that's what now you can see the ball start to rev up off of his hand. And it's just a very unique way that the players today are creating rev rate, and how fast that they can get the ball off of their thumb and transition it to their fingers to create rev rate. And one of the best in the business at that, and one of the smallest guys in the industry, ZJ Tackett. How quick he gets the ball to transition from his thumb. Very nice there with a 2.810 spare, getting kicked off the back.
Scott Kemp out here showing out.
Yeah. A little smile on the face there.
If any of that Dwight Adams discussion made any sense, or if it didn't make sense, just let us know.
Yeah.
I need to know if the video certainly worked. And I was able to mute the volume of the video once we started playing.
Oh,
so
there you go.
I think it was decent enough. 4 in a row there for Zweig. Mill, you've been in the chat throughout. Trevor Roberts, a washout to make. There's Dwight with a strike in the 9th frame. Big washout conversion again for Trevor Roberts. Trevor is 24th after, again, 2 this morning. 8 thus far, -1 overall. And -81 out of 8th place. He's 81 pins out of 8th currently.
Leader was counting boards on the approach. He made a little move there. Oh, great shot. Gene Perez already enjoying the next pair. He starts off with a double.
He moved to, what, 41 and 42?
Yeah, 43 and 4. Let's see. But yeah, he's already enjoying that better than the first pair.
He's crossing with Kim Bowlby today, too. So a
Yes.
couple of lefties.
So that actually could possibly help both of them.
I didn't say it. Just so, again, a reminder, Jason Utwall will join us in Game 4. So if you have any questions, and I know people will have questions about the pattern. Oh, good shot for Zweig. But you got any questions for him about his work here at the Bradley? Get those ready. We talked a little bit about that on Friday during the double shootout. And then I hope to have Cecil, if Cecil's good with it, at the end of the block. Cecil or Jason, one of the other. Good spare there for Dwight. And then we'll figure out what the top eight's going to be. Cecil was great at taking a look at people's score sheets last night, so we appreciate the help.
See if Zweig can strike here to get to 200 even for this game. That was a nice bailout after going 9 spare, split, split, split. Throwing a 4-bagger to get him up where he stay even. Has the opportunity to do it. He's going to make another ball change and go fishing a little bit here. Dwight on the field ball, you seen he was been playing in, and then on this field ball, he went back out to see what was going on.
All right, as we head to Game 4, we welcome Nick Pate, Michael Martell, Tom Doherty, and Mitch Beasley to 35 and 36. We saw them on 37 and 38 earlier. And we'll see Graham Foss, Sean Rash, Jeremy Thomas, and Brandon Flora on 37 and 38. All right. Leaderbach can get to 202. Again, trying to get to the top 8. Here are these players. Plus 80 being 8th after 2 games this morning, 8 total games between the advancers round and, again, 2 games of the cashers round here.
Okay, now that you don't see every day.
I think we've got some new content here for Bowlstream TV.
I believe we do. We need a re-rack on lane 37.
I'll be clipping that out later.
So do you score that as a,
I don't know what I'm not sure what that is.
would that be a 0? It's got to be a 0. But would it be considered a gutter or a dribble or that'd be?
It's a really good question. It's got to be.
What I think would have been awesome if he would have done that and it would actually went to the next lane and struck.
I actually, I actually thought that was about to happen. It's certainly a gutter.
Yeah.
He made an attempt and he released the bowling ball, right?
That's correct. It's a 0.
So it is a 0 by rule. Well, all right.
He's gonna try it again. He's definitely playing the ball over top of the right gutter,
That's right,
kind of
baby.
getting it.
Go back to the well.
Yeah, no, he made the move left. He's
Oh,
like,
and
yeah, I'm
spare
not.
it up.
He's like, look at him, awesome. Yeah, that definitely is something that will.
That was amazing.
One of the guys was like, did he really just do that? I'm assuming that could make Sports Center's not top 10.
Oh, goodness.
And
He
then
made the spare, though.
And then the spare could be on the top 10. So he could actually make not top 10 and top 10 at the same time.
He made the spare, which is just incredible.
And he is about to in the floor laughing.
Oh, man. Scott's going to make me go use some different software. Should charge him for it. That is, goodness gracious. Anyway, I'll find it. What did he finish with, by the way? Did we see
I
that?
don't. I don't.
Oh, man. Yes, you can rewind it here on YouTube. The DVR feature does work well.
Nick Pate just chopping the spare there. Doherty stepped up with 9 spare on the first shot. Now let's see what Michael Martell can do and Mitch Beasley on their first attempts on 35 and 6.
All right, let's welcome in. We'll get Jason Uchwall here in just 1 second and get Cecil back later in the block. Take a small break. Back with you in a moment here on Bullstream TV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Bullstream TV. We're now into game 4. We just had a mood lightener. A rare gutter bounce situation by Scott Camp. But we welcome in Tournament Director Jason Uchwall for a little bit here. And, well, Jason, we're getting down to it.
Yeah, my normal Sunday morning cameo.
How you feeling? How's the team feeling?
Tired is the normal word for this weekend.
Right.
You know, but can't wish for anything better, honestly. You know, good turnout like normal, super quality field from start to finish, and then getting to watch the top 40 guys finish it off in the morning. So,
what's for you, like, when did you start noticing the depth of field, so to speak, continue to grow, the competitive field that it is?
You know, that's a pretty interesting question. I think we touched base on it briefly last night. This is my 10th year doing the Bradley. So when I first took it over, it was a little light in terms of participation in general. I think it was just over 100. And the field was more, I wouldn't say local. There's still really good players coming out and bowling. Smallwood had just won it the year before that I'd got there. It was just probably 2-3 years in, it started picking up a little bit more. You know, Tommy came back and bowled the next year. A couple more of the guys were coming out and bowling more often. So I'd say definitely 3 years in, it started to really pick up pace. And I think it was not only the PBA players that, you know, more people noticed. For me, I'm looking at overall competitive players. So, you know, when you've got the likes of your Brandon Novak's coming out, and now this is Brandon before bowling PBA on a regular basis, you know, and Michael Martell now, and Trevor Roberts and some of the other guys. And you've got your, you know, your Gene Perez's and Chad Roberts, like you and I were talking about Chad the other day. You know, those guys were coming out more often, you know, not to mention your Ronnie Sparks and your Brian Wallacheks and that group that are always competitive players, no matter if it's PBA or local, you know. So I'd say 3 years in, definitely. And then now it's just, fortunately, I think it's getting another wave of younger competitive athletes. Not that anyone else is not competitive, you know what I mean? But it's just, it seems like it has gained a lot of interest from your college players because they're more familiar with bowling on sport shot or harder patterns, and you know that really well yourself. And then youth bowlers, you see my daughter bowl plenty. They're bowling a lot of EYTs and SYCs and junior golds and teen masters and all those events. So they're born and bred on this stuff. So then to come out and bowl on this, which I think is a extremely hard, brutal, challenging pattern in my opinion, where some people may shy away from it in my age group, those kids are looking for it. So yeah, definitely 3 years in, and hopefully it continues in that vein.
Yeah, it's a good point about the especially the collegiate generation currently. I mean, this would be like just in season. It's kind of like tour players, right? They're in season.
Yeah.
And this is kind of perfect for collegiate players who can make it because this was certainly in season.
Yeah, I think the only thing that prevents a lot of the college bowlers coming out and bowling, and I've had a lot of interest from them participating, is really their championship week. So, down here we have more of the Mid-South Conference.
Yeah.
And they literally just finished up their championship weekend yesterday. So some of them aren't able to attend. But definitely have interest all the time. So as they veer out of, and I was talking to a couple of college guys last night, as they veer out of college and they're looking for their events to bowl, it gets put on the checklist of attending, which is great for the growth or continued growth of the tournament.
In the booth with tournament director Jason Uchwald. So we've got a lot of questions about the pattern.
So hopefully I've got a lot of answers, but with a pattern that I can't really give.
Right. So this is the 43rd year of the Bradley Open. It's your 10th year being involved directly in some way.
Yes.
Oh, nice work by Brandon there with a little messenger. Has it always been, especially obviously since you've been involved in it, this level of difficulty, this type of difficulty?
It has for me. I'm nowhere near the caliber of these players. I wouldn't even joke myself to be. But I like putting something devastatingly hard out there to turn around and make them think. So for me, it's about mental toughness as much as physical. So for me, it's always been tough. I take personal satisfaction of it being tough. Not that I want to see anyone go home with tears in their eyes, but somewhat close would probably be satisfying, But yeah, it's stayed tough. When I took it over in Lexington, it was tough. It was different because, I never like to I won't criticize any other tournament directors, but they just did it different than what I would do it, pattern-wise and operationally. And I had for lack of a better way to put it, I had a vision of how I wanted it to go. So we worked on the oil pattern. I've had two great people to work with. And, both these guys have been integral helping with it. So I had a guy, his name was Amano, worked with me at Eastland, and he works with us here at Strike and Spare as well. And Joey Seaver is my head mechanic here. The guy is great, not only with the lane machine, but with the machines as well. So, we've had limited, you'd speak to it for yourself, limited to very little lane problems all weekend. And so I think that helps the flow of the tournament. So, those guys, I've been able to get a little bit of feedback from them. I give them what I'm looking for. I'll look at the pattern. I've been fortunate to understand how those work and the oils and what we're playing.
Sorry, Gene Perez just left a devastating, what I believe is an 8-pin.
Oh, he's been doing that. He left a rip 10-pin a while ago. He started front four, smashed it, looked great off his hand. Typical reaction when the guys are happy, and it just stood there. But yeah, I've always wanted the pattern to be tough and hard, and we We modify it actually every year. It's always a little bit different. I'm not a fan of keeping it the same. You know, otherwise I'd end up with probably 30 out of the same 40 every year, because it'd be the guys that typically either lock in or figure out what they're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, it'll always stay tough. I get jokes from people like a Daniel Ferris. He said he always brings a purple hammer with him.
He did tell me that.
To make
I saw
sure,
it on the rack, actually.
Yeah, just in case I'm gonna, mess with somebody and put short out there. And I said, no, I don't feel like getting like bombarded by 180 plus guys. So, urethane is typically not in play unless you're using it as a spare ball.
Doherty's going to give a look at the 5.7.
Jeremy Thomas for a 140 shout out. Hey, that's what you told me.
He's a good dude.
Yes.
I like him.
Well, see, I'll give Jeremy a shout out here without him even asking for it. This man has been integral with helping me promote events here at Executive when I have not as much time as I'd like to do it, and he's just been a great addition. I'd say a great addition to the team here. He runs a lot of great events. He's putting a lot of stuff out there. He's doing his own stuff with Thomas Tournaments. You can look him up. And he's just put a lot of good stuff together. It's beneficial to the bowlers. They enjoy themselves. And it's anything from scratch to handicap events. So, yeah, if anyone's local and they want to check it out, they should check it out. He put a trios tournament together here about a month out and put 50 teams on the floor. That's going some right there.
Yeah, we talked a little bit yesterday about what he's been doing, trying to do, and that's great.
Yeah, it is.
And I really mean that, because I know it's different in every bowling community, and sometimes the support's there, sometimes it's not. People bowl certain events, so but to see what he's trying to do and you're doing, and everyone here, because I know the Louisville bowling community is very good as a whole.
Yeah. No, very much so. I like to see somebody that's worked really hard, and the vision was to turn around and help promote bowling. And there was a lot of people that didn't want to give him a chance, and I sat down and talked to him, and I said, man, you've got a vision of what you want to do, similar to what I said, what I wanted to do with this. I said, run with it. I'm going to support you, and I'm going to give you feedback, and any ideas you want to bounce off me, I'm here to listen to them, and I can host it and give you feedback, and you can build it. So, and he's done a great job with it. If there were more people like him in bowling, I think overall, not only just locally for Louisville, but for any other city that could have somebody that just wants to do that, everyone's going to benefit. The house is going to benefit, tournament directors are going to benefit, and most importantly, the bowlers are going to benefit. And that's what I say for this. I love to see the guys, the talent, the scores. I love to see how brutal the pattern is and how people have to challenge themselves. But ultimately, I like to see the guys come out, have a good weekend, make some extra money, enjoy themselves, know that they've been challenged, and hopefully look forward to coming back the next season, because it's all about them.
Any scores going on 37 and 38. Speaking of scores, we've got some new scores after 3 games today and 9 games between last night and today. And A.J. Rice is still the leader at plus 155. Chad Roberts is now second. Actually, no, excuse me. There's a tie for second at plus 153. Between Chad and David Stouffer, Mike Rubin. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Sorry. Plus 55. I was just talking about how that extra 30 minutes really helped me. And but you can't tell by that math I was just doing. Oh, no, I was right. I'm not tripping. But now I'm tripping for real. Okay. So plus 155, plus 153, tie for second. Chad Roberts, David Stouffer. Rice is your leader. Mike Rubin is fourth at plus 102. Now, Stu Williams making the move today. Stu has gone 210, 247, 254 today.
Yep.
He has moved to plus 90, and he's in 5th place. Jacob Buttriff, we saw his 239 game back down a little bit, 174 in game 9. He's at plus 80 in 6th. Gene Perez still hanging around in 7th, actually. Didn't drop too many spots. He's at plus 78. Liederbach, Ryan Liederbach continues to maintain the 8th position at plus 70, plus 70. Austin Kohler now has moved into 9th. He is 2 pins back of the top 8. Michael Martell is 10th. He is 3 pins back. Kohler at plus 68. Martell at plus 67. Sean Rash is 11th. He is 8 pins back at plus 62. And Kim Bolaby right now 12th at plus 56. Right now at minus 14. Still anybody's ball game, if you will.
Liederbach is not hurting himself right now. Spare 5 in a row.
You know, he came on strong last night. Shot 256 late to get into the number.
Got someone front 9 down there.
Whoa. Is that Don Barrett?
I'm pretty sure. I think that's front 10.
How about that?
Where's he sitting right now?
Don Barrett is 15th at plus 39.
Oh, he's about to possibly go plus 139.
31 back. And, yeah, it's probably going to be in the top 8.
Yeah, that'll do it. I think plus 100 helps anybody's cause.
Let's see. Well, if he gets this one, I might go try to turn a little camera around there. Of course, people are going to accuse me for being a black cloud. We'll see first.
No.
Looks like a 7-pin, and it is.
It is.
Nonetheless, though, it's going to be 88 or 89 pins added to his total.
That's going to be plus 128.
And that's going to, I would be shocked if that's not in the top 8, right?
It's got to be.
But it's going to be in the top 8. I think it's safe to say. And depending on what Ryan Liederbach does, you could see Liederbach move up.
Yep.
We throw Dom in somewhere, let's just throw him in 5th right now, just for the sake of it.
Yep.
And now we got action.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Teddy. Appreciate you tuning in all the way from France. Chris Prather is not compete this year, or excuse me, in this event.
He Chris bowled last year. Was not able to make it this year. Hopefully we'll see him back one of these next few seasons. Yeah, we had a lot of other PBA players that had signed up to participate. Unfortunately, for a variety of different reasons, they weren't able to make it. You know, some personal, some recharging their batteries before the next PBA stop on Monday. Some for a couple other things, but you know, Anthony Simonson had signed up to bowl, and last year's champion Andrew Anderson was into bowl. Tommy Jones, Archer, Chapman, Lavery Spar. I mean, there's a lot of other guys, but like I said, you know, I get it. Again, for me, I'd love to see him compete, but I want to make sure that they are able to recuperate and keep on pushing through the season. So if they're able to attend and participate, I'm always grateful. If not, I'm the first person that's going to understand it's not personal, it's business. So
How early, so this event obviously is going to end today.
Yep.
How early do you start thinking about dates, not only for the following year, but maybe, years after that? How far do you look ahead when you start looking at scheduling?
It's weird, really. I mean, I like to try and give myself about it'll sound funny being a year out, about 2 weeks off in between before you start planning that out. Now, date-wise has worked out pretty easy because I follow the NFL schedule. You know, that's why it changed this year. So Super Bowl weekend turned out to be a really good weekend to me. For some local guys with their Bengals in the final this year.
Sure.
Probably not as convenient. But, yeah, I'll start looking at dates, you know, probably even after tonight I'll look for dates for next year. And the Super Bowl weekend is probably going to be about the same thing. In terms of anything else, we'll start looking at rules or modifications in the rules, you know, a month or two after this is over. And then we actually, you know, for a lot of guys here that took advantage of it or anyone else that's interested in coming out and participating, we do an early bird special every year. It's a $250 entry fee instead of $360. So you're saving 30% for nothing. You know, you just call in and pay it early. And we sell 30 spots like that every year. So there's 30 guys that pay their way to get in for $250 in comparison to $360. You know, and then we run a variety of winner spots. We do here in-house. But we also tell everybody else, if anyone wants to run one to send a bowler, I only ask a couple of things. Try to put out a pattern that's comparable. You know, I'm never going to share what we have, but I'll always tell them do something long and higher volume. And then send me the money. You know, send me the money or the entry. Don't pay the cash to the player, because you and I know bowlers really well, as everyone else does. Something else will come up, you know, and it could be anything from they just wanted to buy their other half a gift to they wanted to spend the money at the casino. You know, it could be a variety of things. Just send me the entry, because what we're trying to do is just increase the participants in the event. You know, you got quite a few people here this morning that have taken advantage of different ways to get in. Brandon Novak here, and who else have I got? Chad Roberts, Kim. They all called me early. They took advantage of the early bird spot, so they're playing this morning for $250. Now, not to mention what they may have looked at in other pots, side pots,
right.
Other events. But
and those two, specifically those two, won the double shootout as well.
Right, 100%. So, you know, they're in here bowling this morning. Low to cash is $600. So they've doubled their money and half, right, just by wherever they finish. Brandon Flora, who's making a run, which I was interested in. Where's Brandon sitting?
He is 17th at the moment, 40 pins back right now.
Yeah, I'd say pretty interesting to mention that he was barely in the cut. He was 39th this morning and has already gone 12 spots up. You know, and then can sheet right now for 258. You know, that's a jump. The biggest jump I've ever seen in this event was Tom Smallwood, who jumped from 40th to 8th place.
And is that the year he won?
No, that is the year that's the last year that Tony Lambert won.
Okay.
Which was 2013. But, you know, just as impressive, Lambert jumped from 26th to 1st that year. You know, so, you know, two comparable jumps. But it's a question I get from a lot of competitors every year. You know, is there a point in me turning up tomorrow morning? Should I just get my check? No, come out and bowl. Put your 6 games together, because you never know what you're going to get on this pattern.
You get questions like that?
Yeah, seriously. Seriously.
Wow.
Should I just turn up in the morning and grab my check and leave? Well, I wouldn't recommend that you do that, but, you know.
How about that?
Yeah.
And the first trouble for Liederbach, by the way.
Yeah.
3-7-9, but still got an opportunity to finish that game with something well. Speaking of Flora, spare in the 9th. The booth with Jason Utchwald for a few more minutes. Arguably the busiest man. I know your team is certainly busy. I really appreciate it's been a joy to get a chance to work with you at this level.
Appreciate it.
We've done this before in a different capacity for a PWBA event.
Yep.
Back in Lexington.
Yeah, I said last night that, you know, the team makes my job a heck of a lot easier. You know, I appreciate being able to sit in on the live stream with you and talk to the bowlers, make sure there aren't any problems, get feedback. You know, I put a lot of stock in talking to a lot of these guys because they bowl the best tournaments on the planet. You know, so getting feedback of what works well, what doesn't, little adjustments that we can continue making it better.
Hands-on, very
Yeah.
hands-on tournament director.
Yeah, super valuable for me. But if I didn't have Justin doing all the stuff in the background with the logistics, my wife doing everything, Brandy with all the payments and making sure that the way that we've processed them and who's in and who's out, which ones have paid deposits this year, Gary coming in and helping. Wayne Lester was my assistant manager here. He's gone on to manage one of the other strike and spare centers here in town at 10 Pin. But, you know, he stopped in for a cameo because he was always my announcement guy. So, you know, all the pieces put together, you know, make the puzzle work. So, I'm appreciative to be the face on the front of the tournament, but if I didn't have all the moving parts in the background, it would not be as successful. Additionally, I'd say if I didn't have all the support of the sponsors that you've nicely posted on the page for me, it wouldn't work either. You know, seriously, Motiv have been super helpful since they've come on board. Scott Hewitt and Brett Spangler and the whole Motiv family. Terry Royer and QubicaAMF have done a ton of help, you know, to the center here at Executive. Not to mention to support the event, CTD and Ron Hickland and Classic Products and Sarah French and their whole team. You know, and Sarah's always awesome to work with, you know. H5G, they've been super supportive as well, you know. Went out and looked to additionally help sponsor the single shootout. And, you know, I told them the background story for that event. You know, and for anyone that hadn't heard, you know, Friday's a fun social event, but you can, you know, you're obviously still winning decent money. Mm-hmm. First place paid $1,500 this year for the single shootout. The doubles paid $3,000. It's not shabby money for a $110 entry.
And both were more than advertised.
Yes, both more than advertised. Originally, it was going to be $1,000 for first place in the singles and $2,000, but and $2,000 for the doubles. But I pride myself on being consistent, and I always want to give more back to the bowlers if we got it, and that's what we did. But you know, they stepped up in for Todd and H5G, and they liked the story and they wanted to support with the single shootout. And for any of the viewers that didn't hear too much about that, we renamed it 2 years ago, the Fairchild Single Shootout. We had a gentleman, I was privileged to call him a friend of mine, and Mike Fairchild unfortunately passed away from a brain aneurysm. And so we take some of the proceeds and give that to aneurysm research. You know, so it's again, bowlers giving back to bowlers, you know, and families in general. And then lastly, we have 7 Lee CBD. We've got Terry Burkhead, and he participates every year. A great, you know, fan of bowling and wants to give back as well. And so, you know, we've got a lot of great companies locally and nationally that like to support. So I appreciate all their help, and I know the bowlers do as well.
It's hard to get sponsors. And so when you get them, you know, those relationships are really not only valuable, but hopefully they become family-like type relationships in that regard.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, I hate to say it this way, I think some sports get it a little bit easier than we do, you know, for sponsorship. But I've always thought of bowling as a blue-collar sport, you know, and it is a sport. For anyone out there that think that just because we can all be all different shapes and sizes bowling, that it's not athletic and you don't have to have skill or talent to do this, I'd say they're sadly mistaken. You know, but there's a lot of mainstream sports, I'll call them, that get a lot better exposure. But all these guys and ladies out there, PWBA to PBA to local to, talent in general that are out there, college players now, anyone else that's going out there and grinding weekly, these guys actually will support the sponsors and buy the products, where I'm not saying that they won't, but I'm not sure if all the mainstream guys out there in their mainstream sports will do the same thing. I don't know if you agree with that, but
No, I mean, it's really hard to say, but I know that bowling, because I'm around it, obviously, just like you every day,
yeah,
do a lot of groundwork laying.
yeah,
You know, a lot of seeking out on one's own, tapping in, cold calling, if you will,
yeah,
just to see if someone might be interested, and you never know. And then sometimes things grow from one email or text or call, or you know, which that's where your network comes in, hopefully. And it's like, hey, I might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think what's again, not trying to be controversial on the live stream, but I think what's a little bit upsetting for me as a bowler, as a tournament director, as a fan of the sport of bowling in general, is that, you know, we could watch a guy in the NBA come straight out of college, and not that the talent is not deserving of the money. I don't want to be disrespectful, but we could be looking at millions of dollars of endorsements where you can have guys out here working 35 weeks a year plus, grinding it out, and would be the #1 advocate for a brand or a product, or a tournament director that would pound the pavement every day to promo the product, and the difference in the money is night and day. And so that's why I'm overly ecstatic for everyone that signs on. It doesn't matter if it's product that's gifted to the event and we find a way to monetize it to give back to the bowlers, or something else. They've gone above and beyond, and they're using part of their budgets, no matter what the size is, to ultimately support the bowlers. So I think that's a goal of mine going forward. I would love to find a sponsor to be involved with the Bradley that enables the guys here to have what I would consider life-altering money. You know, and our version of life-altering money in bowling is not the same as what it would be in football, baseball, basketball, or any of our, you know, main sports that we watch. So if someone could win $50,000 in an event like we're hosting here, to me, for any of these guys out here, that is life-changing money. You know, whereas someone in another sport may not turn up for 50 grand on top. You know, would Tiger Woods come out and golf in a local competition for 50 grand? He probably wouldn't lace up for it. You know, now he'd lace up to come out and give a 10-minute speech for 50,000, but he's not playing 18 holes of golf for 50 grand. So, you know, that's why I like to see any of the tournaments out there. I don't care if it's PBA or PWBA or me here for the Bradley, or what Collier Pavey does for his tournaments, or Todd McGill or Jody Boyd or any of those guys. We're all grinding to ultimately give back to the bowlers. And if there's a way for us to give that, what I consider life-altering or helping money, I'm doing the job right.
Well said there. Game 5 officially now underway. Those scores you saw, the 245 was from Graham Fa. I'm pretty sure Michael Martell got to 226, I believe it was. I didn't see what Liederbach finished with.
I didn't either.
But he did open in the 9th. He had 220 left. And, of course, we'll wait for Dom Barrett's, or we'll wait for the score update to see where Dom officially is at. We know he's in the top 8. He's got to be there.
Oh, yeah.
After shooting 288 or 289 in the last game.
I have fun conversations with Dom and Stu. You know, I was born and raised in England myself.
Right.
Accent wouldn't tell you unless I was speaking to my mother. But Dom is an avid Manchester United fan, for any soccer fans out there. and me and Stu are diehard Liverpool fans. So there can't be much bigger of a rivalry. So I have to remind Dom all the time about being a Man United fan.
Man U, huh? That's funny. Oh.
So, yeah, I quickly told him yesterday that his team struggled to a 1-1 draw against Southampton while we picked up another win today. So, you know.
Inching closer. What time approximately? I think we're looking at 2, right? Ish. Finals.
Yeah,
today, or-
probably about 2.
Okay.
It really depends on the pace. I mean, this
Sure.
weekend, you know, knock on wood, everything's been flowing pretty well. You know, for the guys that don't make it, I'd hope to have their checks cut and done by. There we go. Brian starting with 2 strikes in a row. Only 10 to go.
Hey, listen. By the end of this, I'm going to have like a 24-bagger and be leading. Said no one ever.
But yeah, hopefully the guys that for the guys that don't make the top 8, we'd hopefully have their checks ready by 1:30. A bit through this game, I'll move out the way and let someone have a bit more feedback on here,
Sure.
and I'll get those checks ready to roll so they're ready. You know, I know there's a lot of guys that are traveling, either going home or Kokomo's the next PBA stop. Get that all ready, and then probably start around 2. They'll re-oil the lanes for the top 8. Bowl best 2 out of 3. Moving to the semis. Semis will not be on fresh. They'll be on what they've flipped on the lanes. And then the final for me always goes back to fresh. I have a tendency to do that with almost every tournament I run. Some people like it, some people do not. But I think it tests you a little bit. You know, you're going through transition. Even on a house shot, it can become tough. We saw that on the singles.
Singles.
Yeah. You know.
Singles and the doubles, honestly.
Well, yeah, the doubles didn't get to go back to fresh because we had everybody
right.
across.
You're right.
But if you look at the
From
singles,
the championship match, yes.
if you look at the singles is a great comparison for it because Jacob was steamrolling.
He had 879 the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, can't do much better than that. And I can't say Sean never had a look, but if someone was gambling and betting on it, they probably would have called a Jacob win. But going back even on fresh for a house shot or modified is tough after you've transitioned all the way across the lane.
Finish your point, and I'll get into the standings.
Yeah, that really is the point. I mean, it's just transition, and it tests you mentally. You know, so with this pattern is already challenging and demanding. And you go from one match that's got maybe a little bit different play as you switch to something that's been played on, back to fresh for the final, and it's sat a little bit, so the pattern's probably changed a little. Just makes it more interesting.
Accelerating down the lane. How does it hit like a bag of potato chips?
I've had a conversation or two before with Brian Robinson, just, like other events, U.S. Open, whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't know he was that funny.
Yeah, Brian's a funny guy. I've known Brian a long time. And it's always great when he comes down. We always have a good conversation, and I think that's my fun part of the weekend as well. I've got to know a lot of these guys personally, and
So it went up like 10 pins the first game, then it went up 40, then it went down 10, then it went up 40. What am I missing here?
I'm not sure.
I think I need to buy an index.
Hey, it could happen. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Brian's a funny guy, and the
Good shot at it, A.J. Rice.
yeah, the relationships and friendships made with a lot of the bowlers over the years is always nice, you know.
All right, so we've got scores. Chad Roberts, your leader at plus 182. A.J. Rice is second at plus 180. A tie for third between Mike Rubin and David Stouffer at plus 150. Dom Barrett, after the 289, I said we'd put him in fifth, and he's in fifth at
That
plus
was a good guess.
128. Gene Perez hanging tough after the 248. He's sixth at plus 126. Stu Williams, seventh at plus 115.
And there's a tie.
Yeah, Jacob Buttriff and Ryan Liederbach now tied for eighth at plus 112. And our tiebreaker for the final spot of match play is.
You are catching me unprepared. I am gonna I'm gonna have to go back and double check.
I'm gonna guess it's a one-game roll-off.
I think typically it is. I know that and I say that hopefully not sounding confused. With the 3 tournaments we have 9th and 10th and 1 games. But I'm pretty sure if we got to 6 and we had a tie, it would be a 1-game roll-off.
I'm almost positive that that's what you're gonna.
I'm gonna blame
Find
that
out.
on a tired brain this morning.
But 9 pins back is Michael Martell. After that, he shot 176 in game 9, and that was let's see. I thought he shot 220. He actually shot 235. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Kim Bolaby is 9 pins back at plus 103. Martell right behind Bolaby there at plus 102, 10 pins back. Matt Zweig still hanging tough right now in 12th. He's plus 74, but 38 pins back. Graham Fa is 13th, 59 over, but 53 pins back of 8th.
Still tight. 1 big game can make a difference.
We saw that last night, man, with the Zach Tackett example was the one that stood out. So he went from 40th to 10th in game 3 after shooting 236. Yeah, that's kind of the one thing I've heard or paid attention to is one game will do it. One game can still get it done. Thank you, Greg, and everyone else said in regards to Mike's score. I appreciate it. Clearly, I was looking at the wrong letter. Somebody shot 226. I thought it was him, but it was not. All right, good people. Jason Utchwald had to go to handle some business. He's got a check to write, or checks, excuse me. So Cecil will join us here in a second. B-Rob still talking. He's a cool dude. Brian Robinson, A.J. Rice, Paul Smith and Zach Sanders. A.J. Rice is letter A for those who may not know. Letter B is Paul Smith. He's been getting a lot of love in the chat. Zach Sanders is letter C. And, of course, Brian Robinson is letter D. 35 and 36. Again, Thomas Larson. But by letter, Brian Halen is letter A on 35. Dom Barrett, letter B. Brandon Novak is C. Thomas Larson is D. So time to keep an eye on certainly Ryan Leerbach, Jacob Buttriff, Stu Williams. But to be honest with you, man, I think from 1 to, Roberts and Rice haven't really changed positions much. In the last couple of games, they've been 1-2. Mike Rubin has been up there still. David Stouffer at one point was second or third. Of course, the 289 from Dom Barrett has moved him into the top 5. Gene Perez had a great start to the day. In fact, 3 out of his 4 games today, speaking of Gene Perez, 248, 248, 255. His low game today is 184. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. Getting close to quadruple viewers. Hit the thumbs up, please. If you haven't already, so subscribe. We'll have more events, of course. I appreciate Jason Utchwall and his entire team. And also for the past creative relationships from my main man, Craig Elliott. Allowing Bullstring TV to be back here at the Bradley. 1.5 games left, and then the finals, of course. Top 8 move on. Bracket style format, best 2 out of 3. Pin totals will determine seeding. Oh, wait, Jason's coming back. Okay. And the old out of range from Brian Robinson. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I will propose the question to you. Who do you think is going to advance, or what do you think the cut number will be at this point with a game and a half to go? Right now it's plus 112. So I'll put it out there. Again, currently plus 112 the number. What do you think will be?
I'm out of wood. I just want to see.
Ooh, big shot there from Austin Kohler. Austin Kohler is still in it, folks. I see the conversation when Jason was talking about sponsors and everything. I know we've gotten into a little bit of sports betting chat or talk in the chat. I'll be honest, I was someone who was not, it still is not much of a gambler. I spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, obviously, for bowling events like everyone else. And I've always been the guy, and for Brian Robinson there, I've always been the person who, puts 20 in a slot machine, press the button a couple times, maybe get some bonus spins, get a couple of, free adult beverages, and see what happens. And that's kind of pretty much it. Maybe you do that a few times. But the advent of, or I should say, making how sports betting has become such almost a mass, availability in that sense. For those who like sports, maybe know sports, maybe do some analytics, even if there's just a little bit on sports. I had to have that tool readily available as, you know, for someone like me. I'm like, yeah, I'll put a couple future bets down. I would do that. That's the other thing I would do if I was in a casino. Yeah, I'd do that. Sure. Oh, I can do some same-game parlays? Oh, okay, yeah. Zach LaVine going to hit 3 or more threes tonight? Yeah. So to your guys' point in the chat, you know, if that's available, like Fox Bet has it, for example, if that's available, yeah, that could certainly do some things. We got some cut guesses, plus 150, plus 120, plus 118, plus 127. Pat Brown, appreciate you tuning in. There is no pattern info. We just had the tournament director on, and that's always the common question. What's the pattern when people do hop on, especially by watching a few frames and seeing what they see? But typically, higher length, higher volume is the best way to put it, and difficult. 137, 132, 126. So we got some good guesses here. Plus 142. It's been a, let's see, I think I've got all of the sheets here. So when we began the day, 8th place was plus 35. After one game, it was plus 39. After 2 games, it was plus 80. After 3 games, it dropped to plus 70. And now after 4 games, it ballooned to plus 112. Volatile much. Thank you again, Jeff, for that update. Passing along that the scores are updated after 10 games on the Bradley Facebook page, which is what I just read. Again, we do have a tie for 8th place right now at plus 112 between Jacob Buttroff and Ryan Liederbach. Not seeing reasonable high scores, I think is the best way to put it. Reasonable at this point. But now looking for, and you can't really count anybody out at this point who is less than 100 out of the number. By the way, I believe the 289 is the highest game of the tournament, and that came from Don Barrett in Game 5. I'll tell you, the players know who's got the scores in the building. Which is like any other event. Go to the live stream booth. They probably either have scores or have already tallied some plus and minuses. And generally speaking, the players already know what's going on. If they have access to the scores, they'll handle the rest and the ball reps. So game 8 is going to begin. Let's get you set for who's going to join us here for this final game. Thanks to Cecil. He's just ran down Stu Williams. Shot 235 in game 7. So that puts Stu now at plus 150 for 7 games. Gene Perez shot 213. Kurt Pelon has the front 6, I believe, according to Cecil. Appreciate Cecil for the update. So I was just saying, Gene Perez, by the way. Perez shot 213. So Perez, who was in front of Stu Williams, is going to move to plus 139. So Stu is going to jump Gene in that regard. Kurt Pelon is currently 22nd. He's -2 overall. 114 pins out at the moment. As we talked about, you never know. Big shot there for A.J. Rice. Again, if you're at the top, you certainly don't want to give those behind you any opportunity. Liederbach with 217 max. He's got 9 spare. All right, so let's see who's going to join us here. On 35, we'll have Trevor Roberts, Tyler Slaubaugh, Dwight Adams, and Kurt Pelon. We'll have Kim Bolaby and Chad Roberts, Gene Perez and Brian Hatcher on 37 and 38. 33 and 34 has been close for us, so we'll have Matt Zweig, Scott Camp, Jerry Mars, and Ryan Liederbach will be next door on 34. So we'll get a chance to see Liederbach. Let's see where Jacob Butcher's going to be on 41 and 42. Cool. So Bolaby's in the mix. He's going to be on the featured pairs. Michael Martell is going to be on 29 and 30. So we'll have to take the peek on the left side there and see what's good. It's going to be 218 with a spare here for Dom Barrett. Big shot for A.J. Rice. Again, not trying to give anything back. Want to secure as best as you can at this point with a game to go. Barrett with 218. So AJ won't give anything back at the worst. I can only gain 1 at this point.
This is why you want to. I'd rather sit right next to you all day long.
So Dom Barrett, currently 5th, shoots 218. Moves him to plus 146. Kurt Pelon, since that front 6 has gone 9 spare, 9 spare. Where is Graham Fott? Graham Fott is 13th. I don't know his game 11 score. But he's still in play. We just watched him shoot 240 a couple of games ago. If you are just joining us and unfamiliar with the Bradley Open format, these 6 games help determine the top 8 who will advance to the finals this afternoon. But it is 6 games today and the 6 games from last night's advancers round, which led us here. If we start at the top, we began competition really with 2 very cool side events, or kind of the undercard, if you will. The Fairchild Single Shootout, which was Friday afternoon, and then the Friday evening Classic Products Doubles Shootout. Then the Bradley Open qualifying, the official event began on Saturday morning with A squad qualifying 5 games, B squad qualifying 5 games. The top 50 players from each squad advanced to the advancers round, which was last night. They took a total of 108 bowlers. To get 108, there was also a Desperado or re-entry squad, where if you bowled the A or B squads, you could re-enter right after the B squad. So they took 8 players out of 41 from that. And those 108 bowlers competed for, then the Desperado squad was just 2 games to give you a sense on time. Advancers round last night, 6 games. The top 40 from last night's 6-game totals advanced to this morning's cashers round. Everyone here will earn a check, load of cash, $600. And now with 1 more game to go, we will determine the top 8 players who will advance to the finals tonight. Or this afternoon, excuse me. And game 6 officially underway on 37 and 38. Kim Bowleby, Chad Roberts, Gene Perez, and Brian Hatcher. Matt Zweig shot 184. Ryan Liederbach shot 192. Zweig 184. Jerry Mars got to 199. And Scott Kemp got to 194. All right, so Liederbach loses a few pins, but not much. So that moves him to plus 104. Bowleby, Martell, Zweig shot 184. So Matt loses 16. Puts him at now plus 58 with 1 game left. We will have, or at least be able to see Zweig on 33 and 34. Gene Perez and Kim Bowleby battling for some final spots. Chad Roberts is your leader. So right now, after game 5, or 4, excuse me, Roberts the leader, Perez was in 6th, Bowleby was in 10th. And they're all bowling together and have been throughout the day. All right, we'll have Trevor Roberts. Tyler Slaubaugh, Dwight Adams, and Kurt Pelon on 35 and 36. Where's Austin Kohler? Well, he was 16th after game 10. And I'm saying game 10 because that is game 10 overall, including the advancers round. Questions about Jacob and Jesper. Again, via our last score update, which now everyone is complete with game 5 here today, so we will have an update pretty soon. But Jacob was tied for 8th with Ryan Liederbach, and Jesper Svensson was 23rd. $120 pins out of the number after 4 games today. Oh, all right. And Cecil Scarborough coming back with some heat. Kurt Pelon shot 245. Trevor Roberts 229. And Kurt Pelon again in that area right where Jesper is, where if you somehow can pop off a couple of big games late, you never know what might happen. And he was, what, -2? Was that right? Yeah, he was -2 after the first 4 games today.
Yeah, so Kurt had a nice game there. Started with the front 6. Liederbacher had a chance to get a little bit more than what he got.
So at worst, that moves Pelon to plus 43. With an outside chance that making a run there at the top 8. We'll know for certain what's going down here in a minute when we get the new update, but last year's top 8 where is it? There it is.
Was it plus 84 in last year?
Plus 81.
81, okay.
Last year's top 8 was plus 81. Right now, Trevor Roberts, who was 8th last year. Of course, still with he's bowling today, I should say. You never know what might happen. But Kim Bowleby, Michael Martell, Brandon Novak, Jerry Mars, and Trevor Roberts. All bowlers who made the top 8 last year who are in the captures round again this year. Just outside of that top 8 last year was Graham Fa and Chad Roberts, along with Zeke Bate and A.J. Rice and Kurt Pelon. What do you think's going to happen here, Cecil?
I mean, you got 4 players that are within very easy striking distance of this. So, I mean, it's going to come down to 7th and 8th position and then the 3 below them as to what they're going to do this game. Could be an interesting last game here.
With a lot of people really still to keep an eye on.
Yes. I mean, we got 7 or 8 people we got to kind of keep a check on and find out what's going on. Because somebody pop off a big game, they could make a huge jump.
Yeah, this is a situation where 250 could get someone in.
Correct, without a doubt. Because we've seen it before, 250 and then turn around 150 with somebody that you thought had a look.
And there it is right here. We've got the numbers. All right, folks, you ready? If you're ready for Game 7, or I'm sorry, what game were we in? 6.
6. Yeah.
If you're ready for scores after 5 games this morning, in the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, give me a hell yeah.
There you go.
I need at least just one hell yeah in the chat, then I'll go.
And as The Rock says, a few of them lay the smacketh down
That's
on
right.
the pins.
That's been happening. Rudy Poop. Appreciate all those watching internationally as well. Shout out to Poland. I see you. All right, we got one. John Burkett said, "What's up, Cecil?" By the way.
Hey, Berkey.
Oh, they're coming through. That's right. Okay.
There you go. You ask and you shall receive. There you go, Bub.
Oh, man, this is fun. All right. David Stouffer is the leader after 11 total games. Again, this includes 6 from last night and our 5, of course, this morning. David at plus 186. Chad Roberts is second at plus 185. A.J. Rice is third at plus 181. Stu Williams has moved into fourth at plus 150. Dom Barrett remains in fifth at plus 146. Gene Perez is sixth at plus 139. Graham Fa has moved into seventh place. 245, 269 his last 2 games to get to plus 128.
Don't let him get hot.
Jacob Buttroff eighth at plus 127. Mike Rubin, who shot 165 last game, is now on the outside looking in. He is 12 pins back of 8th place. In 9th, Kim Bowlby is 15 pins back in 10th place. And we are watching him right now. Ryan Liederbach now is 23 pins back of 8th place. Let's see, Michael Martell right on the cusp. Austin Kohler could use a big game. J.R. Raymond has kind of stayed and kind of hung around striking distance, where again, one big game could do it.
JR is definitely one of the players out here. It's very possible to do that too, and very capable.
Again, if you're just joining us, this is the final game of the captures round. Top 8 will advance after 6 games today, and there are 6 games in the advancers round last night. 8th place is Jacob Buttroff at plus 127. Your leader, David Stouffer, plus 186. Dom Barrett shot 289 in game 4, jumped him to 5th place. And he has been in 5th since the last 2 games. I'll tell you where Trevor Roberts here is in 1 second. Trevor Roberts is 21st. Plus 17. And he's going to need a lot of help. Well, first he needs a big game, and then probably a lot of help to make up the difference here. That I don't know. Are the standings posted on Facebook yet? Let me check for you. But I know that the staff has been posting them after every game, amidst all the other things that they are certainly doing. Jeff M has been our constant updater in that area, and we appreciate him. Not quite yet. Almost there, though. Not quite yet. Again, Roberts, for those asking, at plus 17. He is 110 pins back of 8th. And I don't see, to this point, no one really kind of lighting it up and getting off to some extremely good starts, except for Stu Williams, but that's what Stu has done all day. 210, 247, 254, 225, 235 for Stu Williams today.
And J.R. Raymond's already had 2 opens this game. So he can go 32 if he strikes out. How far is Pilon out?
I'll tell you in 1 second. As soon as we
That's right. Gene took your sheet.
He was still, I think, in the 14, 15, 16-ish area. But at plus 43. Yeah, he's 16th at plus 43.
Okay.
So he's got 84 pins to run down here in one game.
I can tell you, if he keeps throwing it like he just threw it on 36, he could very possibly do that. Because he has obviously it's early in the game, but he can still shoot 279. So. Even if he strikes out, he's still going to need a little bit of help.
So, quick update. Since we talked about that, I was just talking to a player about that. We should have the top 8 matches. I think we're going to use 37, 38, 39, and 40 for the first, or for 2 quarterfinals. I believe 31, 32, 33, and 34 for the other 2 quarterfinals. And so by that nature, we'll get at least 2 of those. And since they should be bowling next to one another, you'll see a little bit of all 4, I guess we could say.
Right, yep.
Between our multiple cameras in that regard. The semis will work their way in. And then the final should be on, I believe, on 35 and 36. So I'll tell you now, there'll be minimal camera movement. Not much, but minimal. And so whenever there's a camera that needs to be moved, I'll make sure you won't see it so you don't get dizzy or any of that nature. $2. Well, Cecil's been right about Pilon. He could make it interesting. The other thing, obviously, we got to keep in mind is, you know, no one wants that to happen, but anyone that's kind of quote unquote firmly in, like a soft in right now, coming back to the field. You know, Chad Roberts, for example, he just struck for the first time in frame 7, but he hadn't missed a spare. And so that's how you avoid disaster, by making spares.
Without a doubt. So now Pilon can strike out for 59.
That'd get him to plus 102.
So all Butter would have to do is, let's see here.
I mean,
He's at
Jacob,
127. Yeah, he'd have to shoot like 170.
where is he's on 41 and 42.
Is he A?
I'm trying to understand it now. I think he was C. I think Jacob was C on that pair. Let me
All right.
double check.
Well,
He is C.
yeah, he is, because A is up to bowl now, and that was definitely not him. So
So
okay.
Buttroff with 117 in the 7th with a strike in the 8th. Mike Rubin is on 39 and 40. He just left a 10 pin going away. He can only now get to 192. And man, he bowled so well. $165 last game. Might be the difference here. There is one open between the 4 players on 37 and 38, and that was a split, 7-10 from Gene Perez.
and he almost made it.
B. Derry, let's see, you said the one bowler, or they must be referring to any person that even remotely would be close from a height perspective is Kurt Pilon on 35 and 36. But Mika is not here. All right, Stu Williams, in the 240s. And again, for players kind of in the field or firmly in at this moment, the only determining factor left is seeding. Higher pinfalls will determine the seeds, and of course, lane choice, which could be very important.
Oh, lane choice can be huge. Especially if your opponent just can't strike on that one lane, you're going to definitely put him on it to finish.
Should be also interesting to see how, again, players attack fresh when we get to the top 8. Because these will be mano a mano, right? So less traffic, especially on those first quarterfinal matches. And it's best 2 out of 3. No total pinfall. Got to win 2 games. Small ball's run ends with a big 4. At the early open on 35 and 36. Ryan Liederbach, well, Ryan Liederbach has got a double.
68.
Nine spare, three-bagger.
Let's see what he does here in the 8th.
Left side of your screen.
Looks pretty good.
Oh, boy.
Well, Liederbach can go 68 here.
Uh-oh.
He make it really interesting.
Well, he'd be in if he does that, without a doubt. He's only 23 out.
That would get it done.
You know, if he gets into the 220, 230 range, then it might be questionable, and then you got to look at what Jacob Buttroff is doing. Oh boy, Gene Perez in 6th at plus 139. I think the best thing about this situation right now, Cecil, for me in this event is, I don't know the last time I've seen a top 8 type scenario where there's a cut and it's really been as close throughout, right? Where there still could be a ton of movement within the top 8, whether it's seeding, but there's a few players that we just talked about who
Probably
could still
the top
make and
12
fall
or
out.
13.
Yeah.
Really. Which makes it awesome for the viewers and for us and the spectators here in the building.
A shot again from Pilon. Gene. Jacob Buttroff.
So now he can max out for 03.
Buttroff was looking for 2-0. He got the first hit in the 10th, left a 7-pin. So I believe he shot 196. And so Buttroff is going to finish at plus 123. So he gave a few pins back, but right now it's Ryan Liederbach. Mike Rubin shot 199. He was not going to get there. He finishes at plus 114. He was 9th. Kim Bolaby.
J.R. Ramey can only shoot 170, so he can't get there. So let's see what Liederbach does on this shot here. If he strikes here, I'll give him a 5-bagger.
All right, Kim Bolaby. We can get to 224. That would put him at plus 126 and in front of Jacob Buttroff. If Bolaby can find 3 strikes here, at least a double. So Bolaby first.
That sounded good.
Oh my, okay.
That was high flush.
And here is Liederbach, 9th frame. Lost it out, bang.
There you go. Man, they are going to make this last game,
Uh-oh.
9th and 10th frame, very interesting.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. John Burkett, absolutely you should make the trip. You would enjoy this.
Oh, Berkey would have so much fun up here with this.
Singles on single shootout on Friday afternoon. That paid, hold on, Bolaby. Push. Wow.
Boom shakalaka.
Mercy.
Berkey eyeball doubles with you in the sweeper.
Yeah, singles advertised 1,000. They paid it 2 for first. Doubles advertised 2 for the win. That paid 3 for first, and of course $10K here to the winner of the Bradley. Well, Kim Bolaby is doing the shakeup, and for the 3rd consecutive year, trying to make the top 8. Speaking of Bolaby,
I think that just solidifies Gene into the
big double.
into the top 8. That was huge.
So he could get to 203. That would put him at plus 142, and that should keep him in.
Pilon just opened, so that erases that. And Bolaby strikes out for 24.
Wow. Bolaby at a plus 136. Again, striking out for 224.
All right, so if he's at 136, He went around Butters, right?
Yep, went around Jacob Butcher.
But now, can Liederbacher go around him, or what has Graham Faw done?
That's a
he was
great
only
question.
He is only a pin. Now let's see if I can find.
Let me see where Graham finished up. Give me a second. Graham Faw, where are you?
I think he was down at the low end. Let me go see if I can.
Oh, there he is. Okay, he was on 31 and 32. Graham Faw was 31A.
If that's the case, it looks like he shot 147.
According to our sheet here, Graham Faw would be 31A, and that would be 147. But we need some confirmation on that.
Yep.
But that's a hard confirmation to get right there when someone shoots 147. That's not a question you go up and ask somebody. So,
I got one of the players going to run down to the office and see if they can verify that last score for Graham.
all right,
So-
here's Liederbach. Oh, he gets the
He
7
gets
to
it?
go. That's 250 minimum for Liederbach now.
So if Graham shoots 140, Liederbach and Bowleby could go around both of them and go from 9th and 10th to 7th and 8th.
So Faw was at plus 128. He shoots 147, gives back 53 pins. He's at plus 75 if he indeed did shoot 147. Liederbach, who was already at plus 104 coming into the game.
And he's going to shoot 68 here, or has the potential to shoot 68.
He's going to be
If he
in.
gets,
He's in just based on Graham Faw's score.
so he's going to be in the 250s.
Well, Linda, if you're watching, I know you're happy. Linda Ardo, the mother of Ryan Liederbach. Young man's got a spare for 257. Coming from 11th place here in this final game. He was tied for 8th a game ago. Entered the day in 29th place.
Impressive.
All right, he made the spare. 257 officially now for Liederbach. That is plus 161. Chad Roberts.
From the fact that I don't see Graham Faw hanging around, I'm assuming that 147 is correct, but I'm waiting on them to come back from the office to verify for us.
Well, I will say there were a few, for the most part, every roster that Justin has given me this week has been just about right, with an exception here or there with players kind of changing the letter. Changing their letters and confusing me every now and then. But if this one was correct, Graham finished as on lane 31 and letter A.
But even if he doesn't, even if he's D, the biggest score on that pair was 203, and I don't think that would still be enough.
Maybe not. Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't see Dom score. I know Stu is good. I mean, at this point, you'd have to have that type of game, unfortunately, and then that's always the thing to look out for. We spend a lot of time obviously trying to figure out 7 through 12, but every now and then someone who is in the number does fall out. Actually, not even every now and then. It happens way more times than not, unfortunately, in that sense. All right, let's finish up with some scores there for Mr. Pelon, Tyler Slawbaugh. These are the final shots here. And I would almost guarantee this will be the quickest cut announcement number we'll have through all of our rounds. Tyler finishes out with 213. So we believe that Jacob Buttriff, I don't know, actually, now that I say that. I think based on if the Graham Foss scenario is correct, well, Bolaby and Liederbach are ahead of Jacob Buttriff. So it could be Fa and Buttriff fall out, Bolaby and Liederbach move in. Well, folks, let's see. Let me scroll back because we had a couple of plus 120 scores as far as guesses. I'm talking about cut score guesses that you guys gave in the chat. By the way, yes, approximately 2 p.m. Eastern Time, match play or the bracket play should begin. Best 2 out of 3. So again, we're determining the top 8 players to move on to that bracket. And then from a pins perspective, it's best 2 out of 3, but the pins do determine the seeds.
Correct.
In the bracket, which again could come down to lane choice, which could be certainly very important, as we all know, in our sport.
Without a doubt.
So cut number awaits. Where's my trusty text? Bam. There it is. All right, so how we doing out there, folks? We got a few minutes. Any questions? So the next thing to determine, obviously, once we know, will the tournament end before the Super Bowl? Yes. It's only top 8. Best 2 out of 3 matches generally don't take that long. We probably will have a few matches that'll go the full distance, considering the competitors that are bowling.
Yeah, so you figure 30 minutes per match, maybe?
I could see 3 games, several 3-game matches going the distance today. But the quarterfinal matches are generally, obviously, the longest because we have the most. So the first round, there are 4 matches. Then, obviously, we get to 2 and 1. So it's not going to take 4 hours, 4.5 hours to bowl. This round didn't even take 4 hours.
Right.
So at worst, you're looking at maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, I figured.
And then, everyone can get your wings together. Hopefully all your recipes are good and you got your
Ribs on the grill.
Your veggie tray and your beverage or adult beverage. Or if you're trying to, make sure you watch what you're eating. You did your due diligence, called up your favorite dietitian. Got your Super Bowl recipes, the ones that don't have too many calories. Then you watch the big game and enjoy the commercials. I am going to miss commercials. I'm a little disappointed about that.
Yeah, because they always have some pretty special little commercials for the Super Bowl.
While we wait here, let's start a conversation, right? We're waiting for the cut announcement. What's your – that's a terrible question because I don't even know. Favorite Super Bowl commercial ever? I probably have to go with don't know.
What's your favorite Super Bowl national anthem?
Oh, Whitney Houston.
Okay. That's hands down. For me, anyway, it's hands down.
Whitney Houston. God rest her soul.
So one day I was in Texas, and I was eating breakfast at this facility. And this gentleman and his wife are paying for their meal, and I'm waiting to pay for mine. And I notice on his hand is this massive ring. So I ask, what's the ring for? Because I seen it had a Chicago Bears logo on it.
Oh, okay.
It was the World Championship ring when he played with Mike Ditka before it became the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay. The gentleman was probably in his late 60s, early 70s, but still in phenomenal shape. But it was just interesting just sitting there talking to him for a few minutes and just out of a random thing in the middle of some little town in Texas. And this gentleman's there having a meal with his wife and paying for it, and I see the ring and I notice the Bears logo, and I have to ask. And it turns out to be a World Championship ring before it became the Super Bowl, and he was actually playing with Mike Ditka.
How about that? A couple of quick notes in the chat. That's a nice story, though, Cecil. Shout out to the Bears, too. You know, I'm not going to go there because we only got one Super Bowl.
Well, we got Rash
Sorry.
here, so he's a Bears fan.
He's a Broncos fan.
Yeah, well, he's still
Nah.
when they're playing they're not playing the Broncos, but he is a huge Broncos, and I don't understand where that one came from with the Broncos stuff, but
I don't know. I have to ask him that. Maybe it's an Alaska connection of some sorts. I don't know.
maybe I don't know.
Couple of items here in the chat. To Linda's question, the quarterfinal round, the matches should be close to each other, meaning like 37, 38, 39, and 40. So while I'll be able to get one like full quarterfinal match each with a scoreboard included, we'll be able to at least see what's happening on 39 and 40 and vice versa. So we'll do our best to make sure we, get you some level of viewership from the ones that'll be off camera. When we get to the semifinals, we'll have them all, and certainly the championship.
Appreciate everybody. Some fantastic bowling today. Your top 8 cut. Your 8th seed is Kim Bowleby with 25-36.
Kim Bowleby is 8th. He's the number at
Your
plus
number
136.
1 overall seed, AJ Rice, 26-15.
AJ Rice reclaimed the lead.
Barrett is your 2 seed, 26-05. Your
Oh,
3
AJ Rice
seed,
got to plus
Chad
215.
Roberts,
Is that right?
25-71. 4 seed, Stu Williams.
This might be one of the higher scoring Bradleys.
55-68.
Yeah,
This is my first time,
Fifth
but
seed, Ryan
I mean,
Liederbach,
last year's cut was plus, what did we say, 81?
61. 6th seed,
so Liederbach went from
Aaron
11th
Stover,
to 5th.
To 5th.
25-53.
Ryan
Seventh
Liederbach,
seed,
11th to 5th in the last game.
25-42.
257.
Again, your 8th and final qualifying seed, Kim
Hey, thanks,
Bowlby,
Tony. Appreciate you.
25-36. For anybody that did not make match play.
All right, so
we
just
were
to
working
recap,
on
let me
checks
turn that
now.
down.
We're about to have them ready in about 20 minutes.
AJ Rice is the number 1 seed. He will face Kim Bowleby in round number 1 in the quarterfinals. Uh-oh. What did he say? He said prior to 2:30, right? Is that what he just said about start time?
Yeah, I thought he said it was at 2 o'clock.
Again, we would like to thank our sponsors, Motiv, CTD.
Let me go get some confirmation on that real quick. While I'm away, Cecil, just go through some of the matchups if you wouldn't mind.
And QubicaAMF.
So in one match, we've got A.J. Rice, the tournament leader, going against Kim Bowlby. Then Dom Barrett versus Gene Perez. That's an all-international match there, with Dom being from England, Gene Perez being from Puerto Rico. Dave Stoper versus Chad Roberts. And then Stu Williams versus Ryan Liederbach.
Okay. All right, so confirmation on time. At the latest, the finals will begin at 2:30. At the latest. If everyone is here and ready to bowl, I think they told everyone to be here no later than 2 o'clock. If everyone's ready, they'll start ahead of 2:30. So I'll probably change the time on the finals. By the way, Bluegrass, there is a separate event called the finals on the YouTube channel. So we will have a separate event for that. I'm going to change it to about 2:15, but I'll be nearby, obviously. So if something happens and it looks like we're going to start earlier, I'll drop it in the chat. Hit the button and we'll go. But before we go, Cecil, we've watched now all of these individuals bowl for upwards of multiple games at this point. Shout out to A.J. Rice. I know the pins drop at this point, but there is something to be said to go 200 over for 12 games. 12 games last night and today, and to lead into the top 8. I don't want that to go under the water, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he only had 2 games in the 12 that was under 200, and one was 198. So just that in itself is impressive. Then you got Dom Barrett, starts out 170, 180, 180, and since then has not shot less than 200 at any game.
And the 289 here in game 3 or 4 today was the difference for Dom Barrett.
Correct. That is what got him to where he needed to be, and then he went 18, and then he finishes up with 59. So that match between him and Gene Perez is going to be a very interesting match, especially since they're fresh. That's going to be a good match.
I was going to say, run down some of these before we go. Let's give a quick breakdown of what we think might happen in some of these matches here. And I'm going to type the top 8 right now for anyone who may have missed it.
A.J. Rice versus Kim Bowlby, that's going to be a really interesting match because both of the guys were playing out, if I remember correctly. Gene Perez was playing out and on fresh had a really, really good look. Dom Barrett, obviously, today had a good look all day. Chad Roberts and Dave Stoper, with it being fresh, I think Dave had a little bit better look than Chad at the first game, but then Chad turned around and turned it on the next 2 games, so that could really go 3 games without a doubt. And Liederbach's coming off of a huge block versus Stu Williams. I think that could go 3 games as well in that match.
Yeah, I don't think there's no such thing as a bad match. I think to me, when you get into a bracket situation, because everyone is involved in this situation. So the one thing I would say is, let's see, what Ryan Liederbach done the last 3 games: 242, 192, 257, and he even shot 266 today too. Forgot about that. Game 2. So
he game 1 and 2 he went 260, 220, 260. So if he does that again against Stu on the fresh, Stu went 210, 240. So
that's the thing I'm looking at, right? That's the thing we're looking at.
Yep.
The fresh. It's
correct.
Going to be on the fresh. And, who got off to good starts on the fresh here this morning? Again, it's different. The atmosphere is different. The heart rate could be different. Like it's match play, right? Everything's different. But nonetheless, we've got some great matches for you. That's going to be about an hour from now. I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to say it's probably about 2:15. No later than 2:30, I'm told. And if all the players are here and ready to go, they will certainly start early. So just kind of be around your phone or computer around 2:15 Eastern time. If it's later, certainly I'll go live, obviously. Cecil, I hope you are here.
I will be here.
Okay.
Yep. I'll hang with you. I had a blast doing this.
Okay. Yes, you can, Curtis. Let me get that for you. 9 through 15, and I'm sure those will be updated on the bowling. Bradley Open Facebook page. Of course, with Bowleby and Ryan Liederbach going in, as we mentioned, that meant 2 players had to come out. That was Jacob Buttriff, who finishes 9th. And Graham Fa, we talked about, who did shoot 147, unfortunately, and he dropped out as well. Mike Rubin had a very good tournament. I'm still trying to remember where I saw Mike Rubin. Maybe it was the Masters of the U.S. Open or something along those lines, but young man can really toss the rock. Austin Kohler gave it a good run. I don't know where he's from, but he seemed to have that local type support. I thought he bowled very well also. We were just talking about how Graham Fa, if he gets hot, who knows what, he can just strike for days. And, you have one of those games, unfortunately. And he finishes 12th. I'm sorry, in a tie for 11th, I beg your pardon, with Austin Kohler at 24.75. Right? Let me put my, 24.75. And 13th, that was a tie for 11th. Paul Smith, he got a lot of love in the chat. Paul Smith finished at 24.58. 14th, Brian Halen. Brian Halen finished at 24.57. And 15th, Michael Martell. Martell finishes at 24.53. Anything else? I think that'll do it. They will post those on the Bradley Open Facebook page. And once they're final, I'll post them as well on the Bowlstream TV Facebook page. So until about 45 minutes to an hour from now, we will say so long. Excellent bowling from all of our top 40. Shout out to my guy, Brian Valenta. Struggled today. Body was hurting, but I got to give him some love because that's my man. Good to see him back out on the lanes.
Absolutely.
As well. Top 8. One more time. A.J. Rice will face Kim Bowleby. That's the 1 and 8. I don't have the lanes yet, but we will have them obviously when we get to it. Don Barrett, the number 2 seed, will face Gene Perez. Chad Roberts, the number 3 seed, will face David Stouffer, the 6th seed. And the 4-5, Stu Williams versus Ryan Liederbach. That is coming up in about 45 to an hour. For Cecil Scarborough, excellent work again, Cecil. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emil.
For Jason Utchwall, our tournament director, who joined us as well. I want to thank Justin, Gary, Doug, Brandy Utchwall, Jason's wife, the entire Utchwall family, Motiv, QubicaAMF, the title sponsors here, along with Classic, creating the different tie 5 gear and the 7 leaf. My name is Emil Williams Jr. I'll see you in 45 minutes to an hour. Until then, this has been a presentation of the Bradley Open. You watched it live and you watched it only on Bowlstream TV.